Hello and welcome to Extra Madness on Ion Radio. I'm Ken, and together we'll be going through the action on Table 5 in the first round. This matchup is between Pluisjen with Admiral Motti and Frentier with General Dodonna. Dodonna could provide an extra structural damage card or two, however is that enough to combat the extra haul with Motti? Let's take a look at both fleets and then get into the action. Coming in at 299 points is Pluisjen and an Admiral Motti fleet. Motti is on a Gladiator 1 class Star Destroyer with Emperor Palpatine, external racks, and the Demolisher title. There's a Quasar Fire 2 cruiser carrier with Commander Woldar, flight controllers, ruthless strategists, quad laser turrets, and the Pursuant title. There's also a singular Gazanti class cruiser flotilla with no upgrades. 4 squadrons. We have Valen Rudor leading 3 VT-49 Decimators and 2 TIE Bomber squadrons. At 300 points, Frentier brings us a General Dodonna fleet. Dodonna is on an Assault Frigate Mark IIA with reactive gunnery, linked turbo laser towers, and the Paragon title. There are 2 identically equipped MC-30C torpedo frigates. Both include ordnance experts, reactive gunnery, and assault proton torpedoes. 4 squadrons. We have Shara Bay and Tycho Selshu. Pluisjen has a 1-point bid and elects to go first to maintain first strike ability. Frentier's objectives are Precision Strike, Asteroid Tactics, and Solar Corona. Precision Strike is chosen with the hope that the Empire bombers can score a few extra victory tokens. Here is the initial deployment done by Ed's Armada robot. Remember that obstacles are also placed in this manner. Pluisjen and his Empire fleet are on the left, with the Rebels and Frentier's forces on the right. All Imperial ships are at speed 2. Rebels, on the other hand, are at different speeds. The MC-30 on the left flank is at speed 2, the MC-30 in the center is at speed 1, and the Assault Frigate Mark II is at speed 3. All Rebel ships have now received a Concentrate Fire token due to the Precision Strike objective. Let's get into the first turn. During the squadron phase, the 2 TIE Bomber squadrons hide under the station. All ships have now positioned themselves outside of long range. At the end of round 1, there is no score. Turn 2. Demolisher moves forward and fires at the closest MC-30. Of the 2 hits generated, one was evaded and the other redirected to the starboard side. The Quasar activates and has most of the squadrons within range. The first squadron moved is a TIE Bomber, delivering 1 hit to the forward shield of the MC-30. The second squadron is the other TIE Bomber, which also hits the same MC-30. Only capable of moving at speed 3, the Decimator attacks the other frigate, resulting in a single hit redirected to its side. The MC-30 reveals an engineering command and recovers 2 of the forward shields. Opting to flak out the front at both TIE Bombers, only one suffers a damage point. The frigate's move keeps it in the front arc of the Gladiator. Squadron phase. The rogue VT-49 attacks the MC-30, scoring a hit on the forward shield. Valen Rudor attempts the same attack, however is unsuccessful. Both Shara Bay and Tycho Selshu move forward, engaging all Imperial fighters. At the end of turn 2, no score. Turn 3. Demolisher activates and attacks right away, including external racks and its concentrate fire dial. 8 hits are generated. After evading 1 and redirecting 3 to port, 2 hits come in, including critical damage, disengaged fire control. Post-move, Demo makes its second attack into the side of the MC-30. Of the 2 hits rolled, 1 is spent to score a victory token and flipping over comm noise. The MC-30 frigate shows a nav dial and begins an assault on Demolisher's side. Spending the good redirect to make the attack against Palpatine, the resulting accuracy blocks the brace and the 4 damage is subsequently redirected. Forward shield is now at 1 and the port side is down. Second attack is front to side, spending the evade to make the attack. End result of this attack is a down rear and port shield on Demolisher. Moving on to the station, the MC-30 frigate removes a damage card. The Quasar activates and sends a decimator against the MC-30, scoring 2 internal hits. The second squadron, also a decimator, attacks the MC-30, destroying it. Valen Rudor is the third activated squadron and is moved to engage Tycho. The 4 damage is scattered and no counter is made against him. The assault frigate, being well out of range of the main battle, attacks the Gazanti, unable to roll any hits even with LTTs. One of the VT-49s is within flak range and takes 3 damage. While moving, the Gazanti is rammed. The flotilla activates with a nav dial and uses an existing squadron token to activate one of the decimators. An attack against Shara Bay was scattered and 3 damage was taken from the counter. Increasing speed to 2, the Gazanti lands on the station and removes its sole damage card. The remaining MC-30 attacks Demo at medium range, only able to generate 2 accuracies. It then moves onto the station, finishing its activation. For this squadron phase, both TIE Bomber squadrons activate without attacking Shara. She picks one of these 2 and does a single damage to it. Tycho has a free shot against the Gladiator, scoring 1 on the hull. At the end of round 3, the current score is 90-0. Turn 4. Demolisher activates first in turn 4, using an engineering token to move its 2 starboard shields, 1 to the rear and 1 to port. Demo takes a side shot at the MC-30, knocking out the starboard and forward shields. A critical damage gets through. Crew panic. Leveraging reactive gunnery, a victory token is scored in lieu of 1 damage. Injured crew is flipped up, discarding the Gladiator's brace. The other hit drops the port shield. The rebels now have points on the board. The assault frigate continues an attack on the Gazanti. With the help of an accuracy blocking the scatter, a hit and crit get through, dropping the rear shield. General Dodonna's power comes into effect, pulling up thrust control malfunction. A decimator is then flaked, bringing it down to 6 of 8 of its health, and the nav dial is utilized to drop speed from 3 to 2. The Quasar activates. Taking the nav has a dial. Using a banked squadron token, a decimator is moved to attack the MC-30. Damage is redirected to the rear. Quasar attacks front to front of the same MC-30, scoring a hit and a crit. The crit is successfully turned into a hit and both redirected to the port side, bringing that shield down to 1. Speed is reduced to 1 and range to the MiG-30 stays at medium. The MC-30 discards the command dial due to crew panic and begins with an attack on the Gazanti at close range. With an accuracy blocking the scatter and the evade reducing the damage from 4 to 3, the Gazanti needs 1 more to kill it. The crit comes up as a structural damage, thus destroying the Gazanti by exact count. The second shot is to the front of the Quasar. 1 damage impacts the shield. Final position after movement overlaps the station, displacing Valen Rudor. Squadron phase. Valen misses, and the incoming decimator is able to score a single hit on the MC-30. Shara is able to do a single damage to the TIE Bomber Squadron, bringing it down to 2. Tycho moves to engage the decimators, and the remaining TIE Bomber Squadrons activate in place without firing. End of round 4, and the score is 90-38. Turn 5. Demo activates first, removing a damage card with an engineering dial. Shara is within flak range, but is able to scatter the single hit. The MC-30 activates next, showing a concentrate fire dial, and fires side to side into the Quasar at hello there range. After rolling in concentrate fire and re-rolling with ordnance experts, 4 damage and an accuracy blocking the brace remain. Damage is redirected to the rear, dropping that shield as well as the port one, taking a single internal hit. Flak out the side does a single damage to the nearby decimator. The Quasar activates with a squadron dial. The first squad activated is Valen Rudor. He attacks the MC-30, having the single damage redirected to the rear. A free decimator is next, also firing into the side of the MC-30. With 3 damage rolled, the MiG-30 is destroyed, but not before a reactive gunnery shot into the decimator. TIE Bomber Squadron attacks Shara, blocking the scatter and doing a damage on her. The counter destroys the attacking bomber. The other TIE Bomber attacks, also blocking the scatter, scoring yet another hit, bringing Shara to 2 of 4 health remaining. Her counter does 2 damage in retaliation. The Quasar directs flak at both Shara and Tycho. Shara and the TIE Bomber Squadron are hit with Ruthless. Tycho scatters the Quasar's initial shot, but also takes a Ruthless damage with the decimator. The assault frigate fires a long-range obstructed shot at the rear of the Quasar. Using the hit with precision strike, a victory token is gained and the Quasar suffers a power failure. Side to side is next, which drops the force shield on the Quasar and ends with a single crit going in. Dodonna is able to massively help here with a structural damage card. Unable to avoid the debris field, the assault frigate suffers 2 damage on its rear shield. Squadrons. Both decimators attack Tycho. The first does 2 damage, braced to 1, and is countered back at 1. The second decimator also shows 2 damage. However, that is scattered, and the counter is not effective. Tycho's attack brings the decimator down to 1. Shara moves to engage the 2 decimators. Turn 6. The Quasar begins with a squadron dial and activates the TIE Bomber Squadron first. 1 damage is done to Tycho, no help from flight controllers, and the counter returns nothing. The second squadron is a decimator, showing 3 damage with flight controllers, adding a 4th. Tycho is destroyed, but not before the counter takes out the VT-49. The last squad to activate is yet another decimator against Shara Bay. 3 damage plus 1 from flight controllers is all scattered. Counter of 2 drops the decimator to 4 health. Long-range flak out of the side targets Shara, leveraging Ruthless to destroy her A-Wing squadron. The assault frigate is next, taking a concentrate fire dial and firing at the retreating Quasar at medium range. 2 eggs and a crepe before adding in a concentrate fire blue die for a total of 4. This is subsequently braced to 2, but the crit shows up as structural damage. Six of the 8 damage for the Quasar thanks to Motti. Flak out the side, targets the TIE Bomber Squadron, removing it from the board by exact damage count. Spending a nav token to jump to speed 3, a single ram damage occurs, leaving the Quasar on 1. At this stage, the remaining ships fly away, and the rebel squadrons only manage to reduce the burst shield of the assault frigate by 1. The final score on Table 5. For Pluisjen, 183 points in ships, with an additional 15 coming from victory tokens, for a grand total of 198. On Frentier's side, 63 points, almost 145, scored on enemy ships, along with 2 victory tokens, adding another 30 points for a grand total of 93. This gives us a 7-4 victory for Pluisjen and Admiral Motti with a 105-point MOV. Moving to the tournament scoreboard, Pluisjen sits in 3rd place, with Frentier now sitting in an elimination slot. Undead Norseman is now guaranteed to move into round 2, and Ghost has been confirmed eliminated in this first round. Until next time, I'm Ken, and stay tuned for the next matchup on Extra Madness here on Ion Radio.